I'm absolutely outraged. I never thought that when I decided to go back and watch the early episodes of Thomas the Tank Engine or Thomas and Friends for the nostalgia, that it would stir in me such negative emotion. This is the sad story of Henry, and the sad story indeed. There will be spoilers from now. I'm about to quote the final words that Ringo Starr says, because I'm gobsmacked that anybody ever thought this was a good idea. So, spoilers from now. The final words of the narration are, "I think he deserved his punishment, don't you?" No, no, I absolutely do not. You lunatic. I'm not calling Ringo Starr a lunatic, but the creation of this episode, it's directed by David Mitton, written by David Mitton and Britt, Allcroft, and of course narrated by Ringo Starr, aired in 1984. And we learn that Henry is quite scared of the rain. Not so much a phobia, but he doesn't want to get his paintwork ruined. But it's clear to me, and I don't know if it's because I'm an adult and I can see things, kind of see past the front of it, I guess, that I'm analysing it more. But he doesn't want to go out in the rain. Even when it's not raining, he's worried about going out in the rain because he doesn't want to get his paintwork ruined. But it's clear that this is an anxiety. He's not just being stubborn. He's not just refusing to go outside. He genuinely has this terror about being in the rain. And again, I'm an adult. I can see these anxieties. I can see these mental health problems. For a young child watching it, I don't know. I can't remember this episode, but are they going to just see a stubborn train who won't do what he's told? Or are they going to see that Henry actually genuinely is very scared of the concept of getting his paintwork ruined? It's something that is causing him, understandably, an unnecessary amount of anxiety. He shouldn't be this scared about it because, of course, you can get repainted. But the amount that he's saying, no, I can't do this, even when it's not raining, I can't go out there, I can't do this. There's clearly something deeper going on there than just a stubborn train. And what happens, first of all, is bad enough. Well, first of all, we get our first introduction to Mr. Topham Hatt, called the Fat Controller. I didn't actually realise that he used to be called both. That he was introduced as Mr. Topham Hatt, who the trains, or everybody calls the Fat Controller. I didn't realise. I only ever remembered him as being the Fat Controller, so that was interesting. And then we see a bunch of little people pushing against the back of the train. And obviously they can't move him, they can't move Henry. That's ludicrous. But they're using physical assertion to try and get Henry out and to do what they say, even though it's causing him a lot of anxiety. Which, you know, if let's say this was a child, because obviously the trains have emotions that are meant to be representative of children's emotions. They're meant to be able to reflect on what children feel and show that there are ways of working through your emotions. Let's say this was a child who was terrified, for whatever reason, of going out in the rain, and an adult stood behind them and just pushed them. That would be traumatizing. You'd instantly lose trust in that adult, and the first thing that child would do, if they can, is run back in the house and refuse even more to go outside. So actually, what they're doing is not exposure therapy, it is literal torture. And then what happens after that? I can't believe they bricked him in. They punished him for having this deep anxiety, this deep fear of the rain, by bricking him in and saying, well, if you're not going to go out, we're going to make sure you never ever get to go out. We're not going to help you through your problem. We're just going to lock you away. And again, the equivalent is saying to a child, well, if you refuse to go out in the rain when I tell you, you will never go outside. Obviously, children do need to go outside, but, you know, there are some parents who will do that, will punish their children like that, and hopefully not very often. But that's just horrendous. They said, you've got an anxiety about this, you refuse to do what we say, we're not going to help you through it, and instead we're going to brick you up instead. I can't get my head around how anybody ever thought that was a good idea. Even in the 80s, I don't get that. And to make it worse, to rub salt in the wound, the quote at the end, I think he deserved his punishment, don't you? No. Why are you punishing somebody, even if it's just a train, for being scared of something, for having this anxiety, for being worried and panicking about something? This is showing that if you're worried about something, it's tough. You'll be punished for it if you don't do what, in theory, the adults say, the humans, the grown-ups. You have to do what they say. It doesn't matter how you feel. Yeah, I had no recollection of this episode. Honestly, I'm genuinely shocked. Genuinely shocked that this is such a blatant message of punishment for having an anxiety. As I said, maybe young children won't read into it as much as I have, but honestly, children are more intelligent than we often give them credit for, and I'm rather nervous now to continue with Thomas. I will, because the nostalgia is brilliant. Oh, and I have to say, when they're building, I will give it credit, when they're building the brick wall, the stop motion there's the best it's been in the first 3 episodes. The quality seems to be getting more creative, quicker stop motion, quicker movements. So the quality is improving. I don't know what to expect for the rest of the show, but this one is a lot more disturbing than I could have anticipated.